Welcome to another edition of GoPowerCat.com's Power Chat. I am publisher Tim Fitzgerald from here in the WTC Gig Powered Studios. Well, the big news this month with the Power Chat is now all of this month's editions as well as past editions are now free for viewing for all Kansas State fans at both GoPowerCat.com and our YouTube channel. We kick off this mini season of the Power Chat with Kansas State defensive coordinator Scottie Hazelton, who just completed his first year in Manhattan, and after 21 seasons, this is his 11th stop in the coaching profession, and it looks like he might be here for a while. We are sponsored by Blue Mark Energy, so let's get after this thing. Here is Scottie Hazelton with the Power Chat. Welcome to another edition of the Power Chat here at GoPowerCat.com. We're sponsored by our friends at Blue Mark Energy, and we're sitting in the WTC Gig Powered Studios. And you may recognize the man, you certainly recognize the beard, Scottie Hazelton with us. How you doing, Coach?
Good.
This is, quote, your downtime.
Yeah.
It's not really downtime, though. You do get some vacation, though.
Yeah, a couple days.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be sweet.
Thanks, Coach Snyder. and, people always made a lot of it. That's true at any staff. You don't really have a downtime. You cycle through recruiting, and then you got to get ready for spring football, and then you're into the spring, and you get these little tiny windows.
You do, and then you spend as much time as you can with your family in that time. So it's okay.
Anything planned?
Not for this one. Took my wife to Jamaica right after season because we had that little break before the convention, and then this one it'll just be hang out with the kids, go actually see them do their sports and stuff. I got a chance to see my oldest son's basketball game on Sunday. So
you got 4, right?
Yeah, 4 kids.
What are the ages there?
2 girls, 14 and 12, and 2 boys, 9 and 7. So
you're heavy into the sports age.
Oh yeah, all the little, and my wife, she's golden, you know.
I was going to say, is your wife pretty much I hate to say the word phrase soccer mom, but she's probably shuttling kids all the time.
All the time. And you know, my mother-in-law lives with us too, so she's on duty also.
That's good.
Yeah, like, you know, well, like on Sunday, you got this one starting at 3:30 and this one at 4, and they're miles apart, so.
That's good.
Yeah, split them up. Yeah, it's fun.
Good. Grew up in Colorado.
Correct.
Thornton?
Thornton. Yep.
Just north of Denver, right?
Just north of Denver.
That sounds like a good place to grow up.
It is a good spot. You know, a lot. You know, climate like here, so it's not that much different.
Yeah, people think it's different, but it's not.
No, it's not much different. You know, went to Horizon High School. It's a good time.
Good time. Played a little football, of course.
Yes.
What took you to Fort Lewis in Durango?
Well, you know, it was really my dad. My family history is everybody just graduates high school and joins the Marines, and then you figure out what you're going to do with your life after that. And I was kind of on the track to do the same thing, and coaches would come through and start recruiting, and I really didn't want to have anything to do with them. And he was like, well, just go play ball for a little while, and then maybe you'll get a degree, and then you can go in as an officer, and you get paid more. And I was like, okay. So, you know, I ended up going on a couple trips and really loved it up there. You know, there's mountains, you know, there's hunting and fishing all around, so it was an easy transition and good place to live for a few years.
Marines, you have family Marines, but you're in Colorado. How did that work out?
Well, and my dad, like I said, you go enlist and then you do your time, and then he actually I was born in Jersey.
Oh, okay.
You know, we were right on the edge of Pennsylvania, and he was putting pipe in the ground, and then when all the steel mills shut down and stuff like that, everyone goes wherever they can find a job. And there was a guy that he knew that was kind of a relative, and moved to Denver. My mom's brother had a tire place, and so we moved out there and started working for the tire shop. So it was.
I'm now trying to think of you if you'd grown up in Jersey with a Jersey accent.
I had one when I moved to Colorado.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, a little East Coast accent.
Yeah.
I couldn't say bird. Bud. I can't remember what I said. And cod, stuff like that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fort Lewis, I don't know anything about Fort Lewis. I mean, what kind of football program did it have? I know it changed mascots way too many times.
Yeah. It changed mascots when I was there, actually. We were the Raiders.
What was the problem with the Raiders?
Cavalry, that's what they called the cavalry there.
Yeah, but why they changed to Skyhawks?
Well,
as opposed to the Landhawks.
The cavalry guy, I don't know, they had a sword and go around and.
So it was
Native
violent.
Americans didn't. Yeah.
It was violent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't appreciate that, so we changed.
So they were
to
kind of on the
Skyhawks.
cutting edge of political correctness.
Correct.
In Western Colorado.
Correct.
Not something I would expect.
No, but it's a pretty liberal school, so it's
interesting.
They were.
So you're out there, and you immediately get into coaching. You just right? You transition from playing to coaching.
Yeah. Well, what happened is I played. I didn't redshirt. We were bad enough that I got a chance to play. My freshman year. And I'll say it like that because I don't think I was that good of a player, to really do that. But we were a poor enough team that I did that. And then my sophomore year, I started. I think we were in the 4th or 5th game. We were down in Texas and Angelo, and I blew out my knee for the first time.
Lovely.
Yeah. So. And, it was different back then. I still don't have a ligament because they just didn't repair some things.
Right.
They fix your ACL and say, your MCL will be fine. Your PCL, you don't need it anyway. We'll cut out your meniscus, and you don't need that anyway. And you can play bone on bone. You'll just run.
Yeah, that works out well when you get older.
It does, right? That's why I blame it on that. That's why I gained so much weight, because I can't jog anymore. But really, I don't like to do that either. And then... My junior year, I came back. I played for a while, hurt my knee again.
Oh,
went through the whole deal. So, they kind of the doc said, I think you're really done. You're really not going to be able to run. And you can't run anymore. I mean, at a decent speed, I could be on the team and, play, but I wouldn't.
Something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be good anymore. So I actually went down to join the Marines at that time, and then they said, no thanks, thanks, but no thanks. Yeah, they said you can't play college, you can't do, and at that time they were just like, well,
you're barely 20 years old and you're a broken down old man.
I know. So Gus, my position coach, talked me into, he said just hang out and be a student coach with us, set up drills, whatever for the spring, and I started doing that, and as we went along, it kind of just stuck. And I started that way, and then the next season I did the same thing, and then, our head coach got let go after that season. I think we won like 4 games or something, and Gus became the head coach.
Oh, nice.
And that's when I got my first real job, I guess. So.
Is his real name Gus, or is that just a football coach name?
That's a football coach. His name Casey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, Gus sounds like a football coach.
It is.
I don't mean to be critical, but I noticed that you started, in 92 or something?
I started school in 92.
And you got your degree in 97?
Yeah.
You took your time on there, didn't you? There,
well, it's, sometimes you're busy, especially I was coaching for a little while, It took me a while.
How quickly did you realize this? I like this.
Well, I really was lost for a while. I didn't know what else I was going to do. And, I started coaching, and it was fun. It was something to do, got me through, got my degree.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know if I would have got my degree.
Good point.
And after a while, it was like, well, I don't really know if I'm going to do this. I started looking for jobs, but, once again, everybody was like, hey, come here. You got 3 classes left. You take these 3 in the spring, you're graduated, and you got a minor, and you take enough oddball classes
right.
that all of a sudden you got a major and a minor, and you're like, oh, okay, great. That's
sounds good.
That's great. Yeah, sure. So I did, and then I don't know. It just I don't know. It was just what I was doing, so I just kind of kept doing it, And
then you started moving.
Then I started moving.
We were joking before we started that I counted up. You're on your 11th stop in 21 years.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. 1, you got married, and 2, you had time for 4 children. I don't know, packing bags, unpacking.
Yeah.
I know that's not the plan, but that's kind of the life that you get into at times with coaching, isn't it?
Yeah, you do. It's too bad. I mean, it's it becomes such a deal where it's, people, you get fired, and you got to go get a job, and then, someone will call that's got a better job, and it's really hard to stay in one place for a long time anymore at any level.
Right.
I mean, you look at, the turnover in the NFL to
It's crazy.
Division III, it's all the same. It's either you're successful and you move, or you're unsuccessful and you get fired and you have to move. So it's hard to stay someplace very long.
I'm struck by the fact, though, that when you left Fort Lewis, you went on as a grad assistant to North Dakota State. Was that kind of as looking back now, old wise Scottie thinks that was kind of life-changing to end up there at that place?
Well, it was. I mean, you don't, God kind of controls your plan a lot,
Right.
but I don't, and really I got talked to. Gus is a dude that could sell ice to Eskimos, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the best in the world at selling things, and he recruited me to go up there and be a GA, and hey, this staff's gonna move to here, and we're all gonna have jobs, and then when we move to Division I, you get a chance to walk right in, and so, yeah, hey, I'll go up there and do that, and really, that's where I met my wife, so it ended up good for me, I actually got offered a job after my first year being a GA there, and was batting it around, and had just turned it down, to be a D2 coordinator, and I met my wife like the next weekend, and kind of changed the whole deal. Yeah, so
Good job on that.
Yeah, she's
Isn't
a
it
good
weird looking back at one little decision, you do it differently, and how everything changes?
Everything changes. Yeah.
St. Olaf, Missouri Southern, Michigan Tech. You ran through some schools there in a short period of time.
Yes.
Anything stick out about those stops?
I think every stop has its blessings for you. I took a job at St. Olaf after I couldn't get any other jobs. How about that? So you get offered a couple jobs and you stay as a GA, and then when you're done being a GA, you can't find a job.
Right.
And I met some really good people, good coaches along the way that kind of mold you into different things as you go through all the different stops. And once again, you say you don't know why you're there sometimes, and sometimes it's hard, and you don't have any money, you're trying to make a life with a family, a brand new family and stuff like that, and it's hard, but all those things kind of built our family up to what it is, kind of made me who I am.
Yeah, you kind of, like you said, pick up pieces along the way that all fit together at some point, and you're like, oh, that's why I was there.
That's right. Hey, I look back and I say, hey, it all makes sense, but at the time I'm like, God, I don't know if we can do this much longer,
Yeah. I told Coach Mehdi when he was in here, he came through St. Joe. He went to college in St. Joe, Missouri, and that was my first professional journalism stop. And I remember at the time thinking, why the hell am I in St. Joe, Missouri? Well, that's Coach Snyder's hometown. So eventually it all kind of worked out. I understood when I talked to Coach Snyder about where he grew up. I'm like, I know exactly where that is. I know exactly. So all those things kind of fit together.
It does.
You go back to North Dakota State in 2007.
Correct.
And that's when things kind of, that's, you said you met your wife there. That's starting to feel like home then.
Yeah.
And you were there for what, 4 years?
Yeah, 5.
5?
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
Coach, that's a stretch for you.
It is. It's the longest time. I was D-line coach for 3 years, and then we made a change, and I became defense coordinator and moved to linebackers the last 2. So, and that's where I met Coach Kleiman.
Yep. And defensive coaches are defensive coaches. You've coached the secondary, line, and linebackers. You've done it all, right?
Correct. And
you should be able to do it all. That background as a coordinator has really got to help.
Yeah, it does. It helps just knowing. It's like living. It's it's kind of cool. It's like living in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, we're all a big country. Like we're defense together, but every area of the country you move to is completely different.
Right.
Really the subcultures are crazy, and to have worked with the different guys, it's like that on the defensive tackles and the corners have nothing in common most time, but really their positions are the most technical and the most, the little things matter the most there, where you'd say, well, safeties and linebackers are similar, and D-ends and linebackers, there's just different little subsets in there that you kind of understand when you worked with them all.
You were coordinator there 2 years?
2 years.
2 years. You hopped to USC. What brought on that change? It's USC. Yeah, I get it. But
yeah, it was a better job. You get a chance to move in, and really a lot of the guys. One of the biggest draws was the system that we run is the Monty Kiffin system. You know, all the guys that I learned it from, been around. You know, Gus worked for Monty Kiffin. Washer worked with Monty Kiffin. You know, and he was the defensive coordinator at USC at the time, and had an opportunity to get there. And I mean, that was great. You know, I mean, he's one of the best that ever coached. So as you get a chance to learn from him, it was a great experience for me, and you know, helps you grow and learn in the package even more. So it was great.
So let's clarify this. When you were at North Dakota State as coordinator, Chris Kleiman was your defensive backs coach.
Correct.
You were his boss.
Should I say we worked together? You know?
He eventually becomes, when you leave, he becomes coordinator.
Correct.
And did he steal your life by becoming coordinator after you?
No.
And then you should be head coach at Kansas State.
No,
let's turn this on him.
No, you know what? I don't know that. I don't know that at that time, especially, I was head coach material. You know, you'd say, that was one of the things that, you know, it worked out like the way it's supposed to.
It does. It does. Nevada, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Correct.
Now that's an interesting stop. What took you to the NFL? Assistant linebackers coach.
Yeah, you know, I had a chance to go there. It was, you know, I was D coordinator at Nevada. Good job with some really good guys. I mean, Rolo was there. You know, Brian Pulling was their head coach. They're great people. Yep. But to go back and Todd Wash is one of my closest friends in this profession, and he was coaching the D-line at Jacksonville at the time, and to be with him, and we were together. Actually, we were together at Fort Lewis. We were together at North Dakota State. We were together at Missouri Southern.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So my wife and his wife are great friends. Our kids hang out together. It's all, you know, all encompassing, and to go there and have a chance to go to the NFL was an attractive offer. So you go there and you get a chance to do that lifestyle for a little while.
How different are those lifestyles between college and NFL?
You know, the season's long, a little bit longer, but you know, the hours you work is all who you work for. You know, the off seasons is probably a better lifestyle there just because of the recruiting factor.
Right.
You know, I mean, you still travel, but you might travel and work out, you know, 10 kids or something like that to see who you want to draft. But other than that, you never have to go anywhere. You know, you're good.
Plus, the players are pros.
They're pros.
It's their job.
It is.
And if they don't take care of their business, someone above you will take care of that.
Yeah, you know, they might not be in your room the next week.
Yep.
And you might have a new guy that you don't even know who he is, and you start and teach him defense all over again.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But then you hop back into college.
Correct.
When Craig Bolt moves to Wyoming, right?
Yeah, a few years after he got there, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Was that Wyoming? I've always been intrigued by Wyoming. It seems like a really cool place.
Yeah, it's a cool place up in the mountains, you know.
Yeah.
It was really attractive. My dad passed away 4 years ago. So my mom and my dad moved up to Longmont, and they'd lived up there for a while. And Longmont's pretty close to Laramie. And, you know, Coach Bowl was at my dad's funeral. You know, I've always stayed in contact with him, and we've always gotten along. And you know, I mean, we weren't having that much success, and there's some turnover at Jacksonville, and, you know, go or stay, whatever the case is. And Craig called, and, you know, the future's unclear. You know, I mean, the staff's pretty much staying. You know, they're hiring. Gus is out, Doug's in. You know, what's going to, and so, you know, that job came up, and it took me closer to my mom, and you know, I think it was good for her too. I think, you know, she had a chance to come up and visit us on weekends and be around the kids, and, you know, she'd take them up to cabins and do, you know, she'd take them all over and, you know, be a great grandma and do all the things that they do. So I think it was good for that time. And, you know, she's a really independent lady that, you know, she's, in my idea, grandmas are, you know, old and they don't do it. She's like, hey, let's go on a hike and let's ride kayaks and let's do all, you know, so my kids, you know, she takes them out and does some of that stuff. And, you know, and then this came up and it felt like a good time. You know, I mean, my mom's really independent, and she's got a bunch of friends down there, and, you know, she's doing well. So
awesome.
Get a chance to move away.
What was it about K-State that attracted you?
You know, really, at first it was Chris.
Of course, yeah.
You know, like, you know, in the coaching profession, sometimes we joke that there's head coach-itis. You know, like, guys who you worked with are they're great dudes. Like you hang out with them, you drink beer with them, you watch Super Bowl, everything's great, and you can be in a meeting room and talk trash to each other and tell each other how stupid your ideas are and stuff like that, and then they become the head coach and
everything changes.
Oh, instantly they're know-it-alls. They like their ideas are the only ideas that matter and stuff like that. And Chris is just a guy. He's a great dude. He's the same guy whether he is, I met him in like a Denny's in Iowa at one point. I can't even remember what town we were in, and we hung out and talked for a while. And he's the same guy then as he was when. He's the secondary coach at NDSU or the defense coordinator at NDSU or the head coach at NDSU or the head coach here, and it's uncommon, to have a guy just be a guy and be a normal dude who's.
I relate that to being secure and insecure. When you get the itis, you've got to kind of. I know I don't know as much as you, so I have to make you think I do. It doesn't work.
Usually
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, yeah.
But yeah, I think the best head coaches are, well, first of all, the best head coaches do know a lot.
They do.
They do. But they also are open to other ideas.
Yeah, and I think that, the cool thing is he hires this staff and hired a bunch of good dudes, and our staff in our room is awesome to work with every day. But we're all paid to do a job, and we come in and we try to do the best we can at that job, and we try to see the issues that we have and the matchup issues or whatever the case is, and he understands those things, and he might throw in his 2 cents here and there, but really we're hired to do a job, and he lets us do our job, and that's cool, and that doesn't happen everywhere.
You have an eclectic mix of coaches on that side. Different experiences that have all come together, and it just kind of like it fit. It's not like Seiler was on and then he left and Buddy comes in. It's just like this group seems to just have the right mix of guys.
Yeah, I think it comes down to Coach really looked at it and said, hey, let's hire good teachers, good people, guys who are humble and don't. You can get into a room and things can get locked up. One guy wants to just do what he knows from when he was at XYZ school that worked there. We don't have that, So it's really cool because it's a deal where anyone can throw out an idea, you toss it around. If it fits in what you do, it's it's great, and use it. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. And how does it affect everybody else? And everybody understands that about their position. Like Van might want to do something that would change what the linebackers would do, so then it might not be something we do or whatever, or Tui might want to do something, so it's really good because everybody understands, man, they're trying to do the best by their position, but they also understand that how it fits into the whole scheme of things is very important.
This, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but this kind of feels like this move had a little more permanence to it. You're now Power 5.
Hope so.
You're a defense coordinator. Chris, he had the 5-year deal, but didn't you guys go 8-5? And that's security in itself. That, you talked about the NFL. Those guys move a ton too.
Everybody. Let's be real. In this profession, everybody does.
Yeah.
So we joke all in our room all the time. How long do you think we can stay together? I don't know. How long is this room going to be this room? Who knows?
Yeah.
But I know this. For me, it's. I work and I go home, and I work and I go home, and the guys on the team, if they're good dudes, you like being around them. The guys that you work with in your room are really cool. But my family, they enjoy it here a ton. It's a bigger town than what we lived in Laramie. It's got everything you need. It's a town that accepted them completely. The community did. We move into a house and there's friends. Boys, go play with those 2 kids over there. They're good. Yeah, and it's a good family, lives by us, and they have a great time. So it's been a really good move for the family, and if they're happy, then it makes it easier to do your job and stay at work longer.
Doesn't matter what profession you're in. That's
true.
Very true.
That's true.
So, but Brooke likes it, right?
He does. Yeah.
Good. That's funny you say that about when you moved in. I had a neighbor move in. I think it was a summer ago, and he moved in. He's an officer out at Fort Riley, and someone was mowing his lawn when they pulled up. And they go, hey, we don't need the lawn service anymore. We're new owners. He goes, no, I'm your neighbor. I'm your neighbor. Your lawn just needed it before you got here. I want to make sure you had a cut lawn before you moved in. And they're like, where the hell are we?
Hey, I mean, it's cool. I mean, my neighbor did the same thing before I got a mower. He was out running around, and I'm like, hey, yeah.
Yep.
I thought you needed a cut. You know, it's good. It's getting long in the back. Great. You know,
I know. I'm good with I'll be in my house one day, and I'll just hear my neighbor. He just wanders over the line, just starts doing my front yard. Like, God, I love Kansas.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love Kansas.
It is cool. It's a great place.
Well, we'll get into K-State. I want to talk about some other topics, though, right after this break on this week's Power Chat.